So let's throw Sage Mode Naruto versus every single Akatsuki member in a 1v1 fight. For Naruto, I'm gonna be utilizing the same Naruto who fought against Pain, so we're just going to assume that Naruto is gonna be in the same situation in the middle of the destroyed Leaf Village, where he had 3 of the massive Toad summons, Ma and Pa, and also Gamakichi to help him out, and Naruto was already on Sage Mode when he entered the battlefield. Furthermore, Naruto had 2 spare Shadow Clones that were collecting Sage Energy and Myoboku that he could use to recharge his Sage Mode, but because of that, he could only create 3 Shadow Clones in the battlefield. So this is the situation he's going to be facing each Akatsuki member. We're just going to swap the Akatsuki member for Pain in that particular situation and see how Naruto would do against them. And bear in mind, we're just going to use the Akatsuki version of the characters, no Edo versions, no versions beyond the Akatsuki or whatnot. So let's get started with the most obvious one, Pain. The fight we literally saw happening here. And Sage Mode Naruto, for those of you who don't remember, lost the battle against Pain. It was a difficult battle, but in the end of the day, Naruto was pinned down by several Rasengan rods, and Pain was just delivering his speech about the cycle of hatred. Naruto couldn't do anything, really. Hinata had to come in and save him. I mean, she didn't exactly save Naruto in that situation, but she provoked the Nine Tails to go ballistic, and that's what technically saved Naruto. If Minato hadn't left some residual chakra on Naruto to seal the Nine Tails back, Naruto would have actually died in that fight, and the Nine Tails would have taken over completely. But for this video, we're not using the Nine Tails. We're not gonna give that to Naruto. We are analyzing just Sage Mode Naruto, which is much more interesting, I would say. If we're just looking at Sage Naruto, he clearly lost the fight against Pain. And bear in mind that Pain in that situation against Naruto was actually heavily nerfed. Well, first because he used a lot of chakra to attack the Leaf Village, so he wasn't at 100%. Second, because the massive Shinra Tensei to destroy the Leaf Village entirely, which also consumed a lot of chakra, and it made the cooldown for Shinra Tensei really long, meaning that he couldn't use the most prominent ability of the 6 Paths of Pain, at least the one Nagato used the most in the fight against Naruto for a decent time. So he had a lot of handicaps when he was fighting against Sage Mode Naruto, and Pain still managed to win. So the score is Akatsuki 1, Sage Mode Naruto 0. Moving on to another fight that Naruto had against the Akatsuki, and that's gonna be Kakuzu. Now, this Kakuzu here is not gonna be exactly the same one Naruto faced, because he's gonna have 5 hearts instead of the 3 Naruto had to face, because Kakashi and his team managed to defeat 2 of Kakuzu's hearts, so he wasn't at full power when he fought Naruto. Let's be real here. The Naruto Kakuzu fought against had a small M from the Nine Tails that only made his eyes look like the Nine Tails' eyes. His whiskers weren't even pronounced. There was no chakra leaking out of his body. It wasn't exactly the most powerful M Naruto's ever gotten for the Nine Tails by a long shot. Naruto only used 3 Shadow Clones during the entire fight, and that was enough to distract Kakuzu, and this is exactly the amount of Shadow Clones he would have in a limitation here, because he is collecting Sage Mode with his other 2 clones in Myoboku, and Naruto couldn't toss the Rasenshuriken against Kakuzu. He had to come in melee and hit the Rasenshuriken as if it was a regular Rasengan, and still, Naruto managed to win, even though the first Rasenshuriken whiffed right when Naruto was about to hit it against Kakuzu. So if we take into account Naruto with Sage Mode, who's absolutely stronger than the Naruto who fought Kakuzu, I don't think there's much competition here. I mean, what is Kakuzu going to do, really? Is he going to detach his 5 hearts and attack Naruto simultaneously from all sides? Well, Naruto has all of those Toad summons that he can use to combat the hearts, and I would take Gamabunta over Kakuzu's Fire or Lightning Heart any day of the week. Gamabunta literally fought against Shukaku, a tail beast, and the fight was really even. Naruto Part 1, Kakashi alone was fighting against 3 Kakuzu masks at the same time, so somebody like Gamabunta wouldn't have a problem fighting against one of them, and Gamabunta is not the only Toad summon he would have. Naruto would also have Gamahiro and Gamaken as the massive summons that would equalize the battlefield, to say the least, against the Kakuzu hearts that are moving around. Kakashi literally tanked a direct blow from the Wind-style mask and essentially shrugged that off with no major damage, so Sage Mode Naruto, a guy that's pretty much invincible when it comes to durability, wouldn't have a problem at all resisting the attacks of Kakuzu. The only argument I can see in Kakuzu's favor here is that he would still have his diamond skin, his earth style that's really powerful against blast that he can use to coat all of his body and essentially tank hits. That was able to sustain an attack from a fireball of the 2 tails, that was able to tank Choji's attack with a rolling meatball, and he was very durable against piercing attacks as well. Would that be able to tank the thousands upon thousands of microscopic attacks that a Rasenshuriken deals against the body, though? I don't know, man. I don't think it would. The Rasenshuriken was able to mildly damage the third Raikage. Yes, the Rasenshuriken didn't defeat the third Raikage, but we clearly see that the most durable shinobi of all time was damaged by it when Naruto hit the Rasenshuriken against him. You can clearly see that after the Rasenshuriken explodes around the third Raikage, the Edo Tensei regenerates his form, meaning that he did take some damage with his lightning-style armor. But yeah, you can say the lightning is weak against wind, and that's fair, so Kakuzu's earth-style armor should be more effective against a wind-style attack. But even if you assume that his armor completely negates the Rasenshuriken and Naruto's Rasengan and Naruto's frog-style taijutsu as well, there are still many things Naruto could do to win the fight against Kakuzu here. For instance, Fukasaku and Shima can still use the frog song, which they used to defeat 3 paths of pain, and that genjutsu affected all 3 paths simultaneously, meaning that even if you assume that every single mask would have to be caught in a separate genjutsu, this genjutsu works in an area of effect, so Kakuzu would still be down by it. Another thing some people don't take into consideration is that Kakuzu's skin hardening jutsu also takes chakra, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, eventually he will run out of it and won't be able to use his enhanced skin durability any longer if the fight takes enough time. And when it comes to a battle of attrition between characters that have a lot of chakra, I don't think Naruto loses to anybody here, especially when you consider that he has 2 clones prepared with Sage Mode to back him up. And if Naruto runs out of Sage Mode, he can still use his normal chakra supply and create way more shadow clones. Meaning that if nothing else works, Naruto can just wait until Kakuzu runs out of chakra, and then he comes in for the killing blow, and that's it. Naruto wins against Kakuzu, which makes Akatsuki 1, Sage Mode Naruto 1. Moving on to Konan. Well, this is an interesting fight because we actually saw Jiraiya fighting against her, and Naruto has a pretty similar arsenal of jutsus. Now, if we assume that the battle takes place in the Leaf Village like the Naruto versus Pain battle was, Konan would not have her ocean of paper bombs ready to be used. That's a very heavy prep time situation for Konan, but you can also say that Naruto preparing 2 shadow clones and all his summons is another prep time situation for him, so we can actually analyze both Konan with and without the paper ocean that she creates in the Rain Village to fight against Obito. Without the paper ocean, this battle is pretty straightforward. Konan's not weak by any means, she has long-ranged attacks and she seems to be capable at close quarters combat too, but what is paper gonna do against Sage Mode Naruto? He literally blocks the Rinnegan rod with his bare hands and breaks them apart with his skin, so I am hard-pressed to believe that paper is gonna pierce Sage Mode Naruto's skin, and her paper bomb explosions, they can cause some damage to Naruto. I can see him getting a little hurt by them, but he is pretty fast and he can avoid most of them. Besides, he's gonna have a lot of summons to help him in that situation. The only problem is that Konan is hard to deal damage against because she can essentially negate damage. When you hit her, she turns into paper, kind of like how Suigetsu turns into water and you don't really deal any damage. But we saw a very effective strategy that Jiraiya used against Konan, which was to spit oil against her, and that pretty much destroyed her paper strategy because the oil made her papers very heavy and she couldn't really move anymore, and then she was easy to capture. Naruto himself does not have access to an oil jutsu, but his summons have plenty, so they would be able to inundate her with oil, and that was it. However, with the paper ocean, things get a little more complicated because Naruto in his Sage Mode form doesn't really have access to a jutsu that allows him to fly, which would be the most effective strategy to escape the paper bomb ocean, assuming they're fighting on the ocean like Konan was fighting against Obito. His summons, they can jump really high, but they're gonna fall, and the paper bomb ocean is ginormous, and doing things while things are exploding all around you is extremely tough. Even if you highball Naruto and say that he can tank every single paper bomb exploding around him with Sage Mode activated, the ocean bombs explode for over 10 minutes, and Sage Mode runs out before that, so Naruto would be exploded. The only possible way I can see Naruto escaping that situation would be for his summons to unsummon themselves and then reverse summon Naruto back to Mount Miyaboku. Even trying to bring a Naruto shadow clone from Mount Miyaboku to restore his Sage Mode wouldn't work because the clone would be exploded, and it's unlikely that they will even be able to set up the recall summon for the clone with all the explosions around them. The toads would probably all be killed if they didn't unsummon themselves in time, so the reverse summon situation is the only way I see Naruto escaping this, and if he has to escape, that's a victory for Konan. And even that, it's very highballing Naruto saying that he can tank all of those explosions for such a long time, so Konan would take this with prep time. But as we're doing Naruto versus the Akatsuki in the same situation as Pain, I will count this as a Naruto win overall, so that's gonna be Sage Mode Naruto 2, Akatsuki 1. Moving on to Hidan, this one is actually pretty straightforward. Hidan is the slowest Akatsuki member and by far the weakest. The only strategy he has is to draw blood from his opponent and use his ritual, and usually it's really annoying to deal against Hidan because any small wound that draws any blood whatsoever can be fatal. However, Naruto's not going to bleed against Hidan in this situation here. Sage Mode Naruto, as I said before, was literally tanking the Rinnegan rods and breaking them apart with his bare hands, not suffering any damage at all. So even if Hidan lands a scythe attack on Naruto's neck, he's not gonna draw any blood. Naruto won't be able to kill him, but he'll shred him so much that Hidan's never gonna move again. Sage Mode Naruto 3, Akatsuki 1. Moving on to Orochimaru, and this is gonna be Akatsuki Orochimaru. So he doesn't have the Edo Tensei, but he still has his arms. And this is a somewhat interesting fight, because Orochimaru is a son and Naruto learned from a son, and Naruto has Sage Mode, something that Orochimaru never really learns. But the thing is, Akatsuki Orochimaru is certainly not his strongest version. Orochimaru is gonna be the strongest at the war arc itself, when he could recall the 4 first Hokage almost at their prime, and the Orochimaru who fought against Hiruzen was also stronger than the one who was in the Akatsuki, and that Orochimaru is said to be around Jiraiya's level. But the thing is, Sage Mode Naruto surpassed Jiraiya in practically every single way. He has a perfect Sage Mode, he can dish out way more damage, he has the Rasenshuriken, which is a much more powerful jutsu than anything Jiraiya's ever had, and he has the same toad summons that Jiraiya used to have, so he's just a better version of Jiraiya. Sure, Orochimaru also had powerful summons, but he had Manda pretty much, but Naruto would have Gamma Bunta, Gamma Hero, and Gamma Ken, 3 summons that are compared to Manda's level. Sure, Orochimaru had a lot of those weaker large snake summons, but we saw how easily Jiraiya was able to deal with those with his Dark Swamp back in the 3-way deadlock, and that was a nerfed Jiraiya. Naruto would be more powerful physically than Orochimaru, he would have better taijutsu with his Furakumite, he has more chakra than Orochimaru, he's just not more experienced, but that can be made up with Fukusaku and Shima on the battlefield guiding him, and Orochimaru would honestly have a hard time damaging Sage Mode Naruto. Sure, the Kusanagi sword is really powerful and it could pierce through Enma's skin, who is a durable summon, but even still, it would be tough to get a direct hit that would incapacitate Naruto, and when it comes to taijutsu, Naruto would outplay Orochimaru here. He was absolutely bodying every single path of Pain in taijutsu during the fight against Pain, and even without Sage Mode, Naruto was able to hold his own against the Deva path, which is by far the strongest path when it comes to taijutsu and even ninjutsu. This fight will probably start with a large summons fight, the snakes versus the toads, and Naruto would already have the edge here. It wouldn't be very difficult for him to get the win. Now, obviously, if we gave Edo Tensei to Orochimaru, something he didn't have when he was in the Akatsuki, this could be a very different fight. Even still, Sage Mode Naruto would probably beat the Orochimaru who fought against Hiruzen with 2 nerfed Edo Tensei. But when you talk about War Arc Orochimaru, I mean, if he just brings Minato back as an Edo Tensei, that's gonna be GG for Sage Mode Naruto, unfortunately. Still, when it comes to the Akatsuki version, Naruto takes the win, so that's gonna be Naruto 4, Akatsuki 1. The next opponent is going to be Deidara. Now, Deidara has something that a lot of people don't have, which is the power to fly. Sure, Konan also has it, but the advantage Deidara has over Konan is that his arsenal hits way harder than she does, and Deidara is surprisingly fast. People underestimate his speed. He kept up with heavy Sasuke with Orochimaru absorbed. That Sasuke was able to keep up with Itachi, who in the War Arc as an Edo Tensei was able to keep up with KCM1 Naruto, so he is fast. And Deidara managed to react to him time and time again. Deidara outran his own explosion blast when Sasuke came from behind and he tossed an explosive at him. Tobi thought Deidara died in that situation, but he just fled the explosion. And Sage Mode Naruto is not slow by any means, but Sage Mode gives Naruto a much bigger amp to his physical strength and durability than his speed. Yes, it also provides him an amped reaction time because you can sense everything around you, but when it comes to speed and reaction time put together, Heavy Sasuke, the one who fought against Deidara, is a pretty good match for Sage Mode Naruto. So Deidara wouldn't just be blitzed by Sage Mode Naruto like it happened to several of the paths of pain, like the Asura path for instance. Deidara is also a long-ranged fighter and his strategy would obviously obviously be to fly on one of his birds, just like he did against Sasuke and Gaara. And we can see that his birds are agile, fast, they could dodge the entire desert when he was fighting against Gaara. So it wouldn't be as easy to hit a Rasenshuriken on Deidara as it was against other characters that are slower. Even in the fight against Pain, Naruto was having a hard time making the Rasenshuriken land. We saw that every single path of Pain, except for the animal path, were able to react and dodge the Rasenshuriken. The animal path was saved by the human path the first time Naruto tossed the Rasenshuriken, meaning that he got the human path, but the human path was able to react to it. And when Deidara is flying with his birds, I don't really see much of a problem for him to just get out of the way of the Rasenshuriken. But there's the thing, when C1 alone, Deidara's most basic explosives, I don't really see it doing a lot of damage to Sage Mode Naruto. Yes, they hit much harder than just paper bombs, what Konan uses, but still, Naruto has a great durability with Sage Mode. To do anything whatsoever against Naruto, Deidara would have to rely on his larger explosives, which could be effective in a couple of situations. C2 Dragon is a very powerful jutsu. Now, it's more powerful when used in conjunction with the landmines that Tobi planted on the ground in the fight against Sasuke, so Deidara wouldn't have the mines, but still, just the C2 Dragon by itself is pretty powerful. The scale of the explosions caused by the C2 Dragon is pretty damn insane, and Deidara doesn't really have much to worry about when he's flying up there. Naruto can shoot the Rasenshuriken, but he's probably gonna miss unless he tries to use his summons to jump really high and reach closer to Deidara. But then there's another problem, which is that big things are easier to hit. Deidara wouldn't have much trouble shooting them down from the sky or even from the ground. The massive toads would not be able to flee from Deidara's explosions indefinitely, especially because the C2 Dragon missiles chase you down, and they are really big things to hit those toads. Yeah, we saw in the fight against Shukaku in part 1 that Gamabunta can take a hit, but the thing is, Deidara's explosions hit harder than Shukaku's wind-style blows. If you don't remember, Edo Tensei Deidara used an explosion that was able to capsize the Turtle Island in Naruto Shippuden, which is an amazing feat of power for Deidara's explosion. The Turtle Island is absolutely immense. It's way larger than the Toad summons Naruto would have. It's about the size of the Leaf Village itself. So imagine what Deidara's explosion would do against Gamabunta, for example, if a casual Shinra Tensei from the Diva Path was able to one-shot all three big summons at the same time. And some people may argue with me that I'm using Edo Deidara feats for alive Deidara, but this comparison is actually valid because Edo Deidara doesn't really have anything that alive Deidara didn't have. As a matter of fact, the Edo Tensei version is a little bit nerfed in comparison to the alive version, so if Deidara was able to create an explosion as large as that could capsize the Turtle Island and as casually as he did, it means that his alive version would be able to do the same or better. Also think about the C3 explosion Deidara used against the Sand Village, and Gaara had to raise the entire desert as a shield to block it. What's Naruto gonna do against that? Is he gonna shoot a Rasenshuriken and destroy it midair? Maybe. But you have to remember that Naruto has limited charges with the Rasenshuriken until his Sage Mode runs out. And yes, he can recharge his Sage Mode, but Deidara is gonna give you a hard time recharging it, summoning the new clone with his C2 Dragon raining fire from above. The C3 explosion is pretty comparable to a large-scale Bijudama Blast, and even if you argue that maybe Sage Mode Naruto can tank that with its sheer durability, the Toad certainly would not. Obviously, Naruto would still have the Toad song to use with his summons if they weren't taken out, but to set up the entire Genjutsu, it takes some time. Ma and Pa have to sync their singing, and in an open field, which is the battlefield of the destroyed Leaf Village, it wouldn't be very hard to pinpoint where the song is coming from before they sync up. Deidara could simply rain destruction down upon them, and yeah, maybe Naruto can cope with that, shooting Rasenshurikens against the missiles, but even still, as I mentioned before, Naruto has a limited amount of Rasenshurikens he can use before his Sage Mode runs out, and if Ma and Pa are preoccupied syncing up the frog song, they cannot summon a new shadow clone for Naruto to replenish his Sage Mode. Perhaps it could still work if the other summons were on the battlefield and they were helping out with a distraction, but they are easy pickings for Deidara. And also, Deidara has C4 Karura. Probably the most broken ability in the verse. Well, not the most broken, but it's really damn broken. Naruto's Sage Mode durability wouldn't matter if the explosions were coming from within. The only reason Sasuke survived that jutsu at all was because he had lightning style, which could diffuse the clay explosives. Sasuke could also see the cloud of nano explosives coming his direction, so he knew what to look C4. Naruto could sense them as well with his Sage Mode, but even if he does so, he's like, what am I gonna do? I don't have lightning style to counter that. If Deidara uses C4 Karuru, the fight is done, so the only hope Naruto would have to stop that jutsu would be for him to attack Deidara while he's using it, or destroy the massive Deidara clone before it explodes. That's still something hard to do. Also, Deidara would probably try to do that jutsu when he knew he had taken care of the summons and Naruto was off Sage Mode, so there are openings for Deidara to use that unopposed. I mean, he could do it against Sasuke, who's also a really fast fighter and has ranged attacks that could disrupt him somehow, but Sasuke didn't do anything. And also, Deidara has C0, which, I mean, is a draw, let's face it. If he uses that against Naruto, they are both going to go. Now, you could argue that Naruto could try and do the same thing Sasuke did and reverse summon, which is a fair argument. Now, the advantage Sasuke has over Naruto when doing the reverse summon was that Sasuke could literally control every move that his summon did with a Sharingan. Obviously, Manda wouldn't want to be used as a sacrifice in that situation, but Manda had no choice. Naruto wouldn't be able to define control with his summons, and even if you argue but Gamabunta would want to save Naruto and the other summons as well, the problem is that if there are no summons close to Naruto, he would have to summon a new one, and how on earth is the new summon going to know that he is supposed to take Naruto out of there in the split second before the entire C0 explosion erupts? It's possible if the summon reacts really fast, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. But even still, C0 is not even going to be necessary if Deidara uses C4 before. There are ways for Naruto to counter Deidara, but it's not a very good match. Just think about this for a second. Sasuke was the perfect match for Deidara. I mean, Kishimoto wrote the fight that way. Sasuke's powers and Deidara's powers were supposed to interact in a very interesting way with each other. But Naruto's powers, they are kind of limited against Deidara, especially when you take into account that Naruto doesn't have an easy way to negate the explosives, diffusing them somehow. He doesn't have lightning style. So Deidara takes this fight 7 times out of 10, high difficulty. Sage Mode Naruto 4, Akatsuki 2. Now let's do Naruto versus Zetsu. Black Zetsu has the capability of using powerful wood-style jutsus, and White Zetsu has the sport jutsu going for him that he used against the 5 Kage. Black Zetsu also reacted to KCM1 Naruto during the work. He managed to trip Naruto and he missed a Rasenshuriken. But let's not beat around the bush here. I mean, Zetsu doesn't have a chance against Sage Mode Naruto, especially when you take into account the summons and all that. He's getting bodied. Sage Mode Naruto 5, Akatsuki 2. Now let's do Sage Mode Naruto versus Obito, the orange mask version. And this is a tough match for anybody, not just Sage Mode Naruto. I mean, Obito was literally reacting to Minato when he was 14, and this version is just way more experienced and powerful. He would be able to casually phase through Naruto's Rasengan, Naruto's Rasenshuriken. His summons would be completely ineffective, with the exception of maybe Frog Song, which is an auditory genjutsu, so technically the visual prowess of the Sharingan when it comes to genjutsu wouldn't really interfere that much. But then there's the thing, it takes time for you to do the Frog Song, as I mentioned before, and Obito's not really a dumb guy. If he sees the frog singing up a song, he's gonna do something to stop them. Fukasaku and Shima are pretty strong, but Tendo Pain was able to dispose of Fukasaku very fast when he was about to start the song. The only thing I can see Naruto doing against Obito that could actually hit him is his Frog Kumite, which caught Pain off guard, because Pain has a shared field of view, so whenever Naruto throws that ghost punch that hits after Naruto quote-unquote misses, you can't really see the fists hitting you because they don't. You hit with Sage Energy, which is invisible, and therefore this could fool Obito. He's going for a Kamui, but Naruto misses, and then when he materializes, it hits Obito. It could be something to fool Kamui, which is pretty good, but even still, if Naruto hits a really powerful Frog Kumite punch on Obito, it's not gonna take Obito down. I mean, a 14-year-old Obito took a Rasengan hit from Minato straight down, and then he was stabbed by Minato's kunai and just walked it off. A 13-year-old Obito had half of his body smashed by a rock, and he survived. Obito's constantly losing arms left and right, and he doesn't seem to mind it whatsoever, so a single punch? Yes, we know Sage Mode Naruto is extremely powerful and strong, and his punches hit hard, but one Frog Kumite punch is not gonna take him out of commission, and after Naruto lands the first hits, Obito's gonna know what to look for and adapt his strategy. It's underrated how strong Obito actually is in terms of physical strength as the orange mask version, because he literally stopped the execution executioner's blade, an attack thrown by Suigetsu with his bare hands, and he wasn't shaking at all, like it was a casual block. Also, this Obito's really fast. He would be able to keep up with Sage Mode Naruto with no problem whatsoever. There isn't really much Naruto can do in this situation. The only thing I can see is for Akumite, and this wouldn't just be enough to beat Obito. He would be able to suck Naruto into the Kami dimension, and that would be it. Which makes Sage Mode Naruto 5, Akatsuki 3. Moving on to Sasori. Sasori is an interesting character in versus battles because he has many forms that he can evolve into in the forms we saw against Chiyo and Sakura. His first form, the Hiruko shell, wouldn't be very problematic for Naruto. He has needle attacks and his tail. Naruto's not gonna be threatened by that in Sage Mode. And there's the thing. When it comes to the puppets, the most reliable thing Sasori has is the poison they can inflict. They usually do that by slashing you, cutting you, and then their blades are laced with poison, which is really bad because you get poisoned that way. The problem is that Sage Mode Naruto's not gonna get cut by blades. If the Rinnegan rods couldn't do anything, the blades from the puppets are not gonna do anything either. So this already completely negates Sasori's most reliable way of dealing damage. There are also poison clouds that can be effective, but I don't think Sage Mode Naruto will breathe in a poison cloud. Yes, Naruto does a lot of stupid things here and there, but he is surprisingly intelligent, especially in the fight against Pain. He was coming up with some very nice strategies in the heat of battle. Another thing in favor of Naruto in this situation here is that he can easily one-shot any puppet Sasori throws against him. Sakura, in the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, was able to do so with taijutsu alone. She one-shot the Hiruko puppet with a punch, she one-shot the third Kazekage puppet with a punch, the strongest puppet of all time. She one-shot several of the puppets in the 100 puppet army that Sasori threw against her and Chiyo, and she one-shot Sasori himself with a punch. So Naruto's taijutsu with Sage Mode would do the exact same thing. I mean, Naruto was cracked with Sage Mode. He was really strong. He tossed the Animal Path Rhino very casually with Sage Mode, and that thing literally disappeared in the sky. It was really, really high up. Naruto tossed the thing. He was one-shotting Paths of Pain with punches too, so he would one-shot the puppets without much difficulty. He wouldn't even have to rely on the Rasengan or Rasenshuriken to destroy them. Punches and kicks would do the job. When it comes to the Iron Sand of the third Kazekage, Naruto wouldn't really have a lot of trouble dealing with that because Sakura was doing just fine against him. And sure, Sakura was being manipulated by Chiyo with her chakra threads to do better in that fight, but Naruto with Sage Mode, amped reaction time, amped strength, being able to sense everything around it, would have an easier time punching away the Iron Sand and dodging the attacks from the third Kazekage. Also, Naruto would have his summons to back him up if he gets swarmed by the 100 puppet army or anything like that. And even if Naruto himself doesn't notice Sasori's living core, which is his weakness, how you can actually kill Sasori, his toads, especially Fukasaku and Shime, who are very experienced and smart, would see that and say, Naruto, aim for the core, destroy the core. And let's be real, if he lands a Rasenshuriken, it's gonna destroy the core anyway. So Sasori doesn't have anything to do here. Naruto takes this fight. It can be a little long because Sasori has so many different forms that he can evolve into, but if Naruto manages to land a Rasenshuriken early on Sasori, it's GG, which gives us Naruto 6, Akatsuki 3. Moving on to Kisame versus Sage Mode Naruto, and this is an interesting fight. Kisame is a beast. He was able to fight and pretty much school Killer B with his chakra cloak and version 2 cloak. He casually dodged an attack by B, who's one of the fastest characters in the series up until that point, and he could drain absurd amounts of chakra. His water style jutsus are also nothing to scoff at. He can punch really hard with those. They would be able to hurt Sage Mode Naruto, and loves to fight opponents with loads of chakra. Problem here is that Naruto doesn't have normal chakra. He has Sage Energy, which we saw what happens if you don't know how to control it. You turn to stone. Naruto used that to defeat the Path, so Kisame's absorption abilities here wouldn't be as useful. Still, a lot of people dismiss this fight and say that if Kisame absorbs a single drop of Sage Energy, he's dead, he turns into stone, but this is completely wrong. First, because if you even take a look at how Naruto defeated the Path by turning him into stone, the Path absorbed an enormous amount of Sage Energy before he turned into a stone toad. First, he takes Naruto out of Sage Mode and he's just fine. Then Naruto starts to collect Sage Energy non-stop because he cannot move in that situation. That's perfect to collect Sage Energy, and the Path keeps on absorbing it for a decent amount of time until he eventually turns into stone, so there is an amount of energy that can be absorbed before you die. And Kisame is the character in the Akatsuki with the largest chakra reserve. He has more chakra than Nagato himself. The only person that rivals Kisame in terms of chakra supply is Naruto and then Hashirama. And we know that the more chakra you have, the better you deal with Sage Mode, meaning that the Sage energy wouldn't be able to completely overpower Kisame just because his chakra supply is enormous, and he would be able to resist for a decent time. And if Kisame notices, oh, he's using Sage energy, he wouldn't just absorb everything if he knew it was dangerous for him. He would recognize that and say, yeah, I'm not gonna do that for now. Also, you can even make the argument that maybe Samehada can deal with Sage energy because it was dealing with chakra from the tail beast really easily, and we see how volatile that chakra can be. It burns the skin of the user away, the Jinchurikis are always hurting because of the tail beast chakra, and Samehada is just munching on that, so maybe it can just munch on Sage energy as well. But this is just a theory, so let's not take that into account. Let's assume Kisame would be able to see, okay, let me not absorb Sage energy here so that I don't take any unnecessary risks and fight without that capability. He would certainly try to flood the battlefield and use his water style attacks to punch the big summons that would try to attack him before. Now, if Kisame was able to react to Killer Bee coming at him with his Jinchuriki cloak and then version 2 cloak, he will be able to react to a Rasenshuriken flying his way, or even Naruto attacking him with a Rasengan or something like that. He could raise a water wall, for example, and block the Rasenshuriken. Kisame also has the option of doing the water bubble that he used against Bee to completely, literally flood the battlefield so that everything is underwater, and that would put Naruto into a lot of trouble because Kisame is faster than essentially anybody underwater. When he fuses with Samehada, the guy was outspeeding version 2B with no problems whatsoever underwater. Also, because Kisame has practically infinite chakra, he can just keep on spamming jutsus, water style attacks with impunity. And if Naruto runs out of Sage Mode chakra, he can simply go in and absorb Naruto's normal chakra, and also the Nine Tails' chakra that's always within. Naruto could try and flee the water bubble, but Kisame can move the bubble and follow whoever's trying to flee it, so it's difficult. Maybe Naruto could use a reverse summon to get out of there, but if he flees the battlefield, that's a loss, so we wouldn't want to do that. The other big problem Naruto would have is that even though Kisame himself cannot absorb Sage Mode because he can turn to stone, his great water shark explosion that he used against Guy's Hirodora can still absorb Sage energy because it's just a water style ninjutsu, and the point of that attack is to absorb anything that comes your way. It couldn't absorb Hirodora because it's not ninjutsu, it's Guy's literal physical might manifested, so it just countered the attack. But I don't really see it having a problem absorbing a Rasenshuriken, for instance, and becoming more powerful, using the Rasenshuriken energy to explode back against Naruto. Still, because the Toads have Sage energy all around them, Naruto would have Sage Mode energy practically the entire time during the fight. Kisame wouldn't be able to rely on his regenerative capabilities using the chakra granted to him by the Samehada after he absorbs something. And yeah, Kisame can definitely tank a Rasengan or two, but a Rasenshuriken, if it lands, it's gonna be problematic. Kisame is not gonna tank that. Sure, he tanked a Hirodora, he survived a blast that was way bigger than the Turtle Island, but the Rasenshuriken is just different because it hits your chakra system, so it's gonna be difficult to do anything about it. Also, when it comes to taijutsu, they're two really strong fighters. Naruto does have Furakumite, which could give him an edge, but Kisame has the Samehada, who gives him a bigger reach. Perhaps Naruto could resist Samehada's cuts for the most part, but Kisame is really powerful and Samehada is nasty. It would still deal some damage to Sage Mode Naruto, and Kisame wouldn't have a lot of trouble dealing with the Toads, I would say. They are more mobile than your average Joe underwater because they're Toads, they also live underwater, but still, Kisame has the edge in his realm. And because he has nigh infinite chakra, he can run the clock out, make sure that Naruto runs out of recharges of Sage Mode, and then attack. Naruto still have the theoretical frog song that's gonna be difficult to set up, but even if Kisame gets hit by it, there's the argument that Samehada can break him out, because Samehada is literally a sentient being that's helping Kisame out in every single fight. But you can also argue that Samehada would be caught in the Genjutsu too, but then again, would Ma and Pa aim the Genjutsu at Samehada? Because it's certainly something that you can direct against who you want to hit, because if it didn't work like that and it just affected everybody in the area, then Jiraiya would have been caught on the Genjutsu when Ma and Pa used it against Pain. Or maybe Ma and Pa just woke Jiraiya out of the Genjutsu immediately after the Genjutsu was used. Who knows? Regardless, this fight would be very difficult. I would even give it a technical tie here, but I'm gonna say that Naruto wins this fight ever so slightly more than Kisame does, so I'm gonna give it to him. And that's probably just because Naruto has so many summons already in the battlefield and the toads can cope underwater. So Sage Mode Naruto 7, Akatsuki 3. Moving on to Naruto versus Itachi. We kinda saw in the work, but it was, not very long. KCM Naruto was sparring with Itachi, and KCM Naruto is very different from Sage Mode Naruto, especially Sage Mode Naruto with all the summons already put in the battlefield. For the version of Itachi we are replacing Pain with, we're gonna use the same Itachi that fought against Sasuke. So he's sick, he's not in his peak condition, but he's still formidable. When it comes to taijutsu, Itachi can certainly keep up with Sage Mode Naruto. He has the Sharingan, he can move very fast, but he was keeping up with heavy Sasuke in their fight pretty casually. And we have to bear in mind he wasn't taking that fight seriously. He was trying to guide Sasuke into the ultimate conclusion he wanted for the fight, which was for him to die, but extracting Orochimaru in the process. Naruto has his Furakumite, which could catch Itachi off guard. But the problem is that if they engage in a taijutsu fight, sure, Naruto can use Furakumite, but Itachi also has Genjutsu. And yes, Naruto has several summons on the battlefield that can break him out of it. But even if Naruto is caught for an instant, that's gonna give Itachi a window of opportunity. So those two possibilities kinda cancel each other out. Naruto would probably not want to engage up close without any backup. Obviously, he wouldn't look Itachi in the eye. He already knew the dangers of doing so way back in the Kazekage rescue arc, but even still, Itachi has means to put people under genjutsus that don't require eye contact, which is exactly what his body double does against Naruto in that very same arc. Naruto was absolutely helpless against Itachi's ephemeral genjutsu. You could argue that Sage Mode were given an amp in breaking out of normal genjutsus, but we never see anything like that. It would be headcanon to assume it would be the case. And even still, we know how good Uchihas are at controlling large summons. Sasuke, with not a lot of chakra left, was able to control Manda, a summon that's actually stronger than Gamabunta, and he was able to escape Datara C0 with that. Itachi has a higher Sharingan prowess than that Sasuke, and he would certainly be able to put the summons under genjutsus as well. Imagine Gamabunta, Gamaken, and Gamahiro come to attack Itachi. He just looks at them and puts them all under a genjutsu. We don't know if he could do that to several opponents at the same time, but there is some precedent because Sasuke in the work put all 9 tail beasts under a genjutsu at the same time. And yes, that Sasuke is far more powerful than Itachi ever was with a Rinnegan and all that, but there's a precedent. Maybe instead of doing to 9 tail beasts, Itachi could do to 3 large summons. And the problem for Itachi here would be his stamina and how much he could withstand Naruto in the fight. Because the Rasenshuriken, yes, it's a very powerful ability, it's extremely strong. If Itachi gets hit by it, he dies. But if the Paths of Pain were able to dodge that, Itachi wouldn't have much of a problem. Especially because it is kind of obvious when Naruto is going to toss the Rasenshuriken. He has to hold the Rasenshuriken up and then throw the massive jutsu that makes a lot of noise. It's not exactly subtle. Naruto uses a clever strategy with the smoke bomb in the fight against Pain to try and catch him off guard with the Rasenshuriken, but Itachi is tiers above Nagato when it comes to intellectual prowess. He wouldn't fall for Naruto's strategies whatsoever. And even if a Rasenshuriken is about to hit Itachi, he can simply summon his Susanoo and tank the damage with it. He was able to do that with Kirin, and Kirin is a much faster technique than the Rasenshuriken. Kirin is also a more destructive technique than the Rasenshuriken, so the Susanoo wouldn't have a problem withstanding the blow of a Rasenshuriken. Also, we saw time and time again in the war arc how powerful the Susanoo is against the Rasengan. When Naruto shoved a massive Rasengan on Madara with the help of Inoki pushing Madara up with his earth style, Madara just used a ribcage of the Susanoo and negated the damage completely. The Susanoo didn't even crack or anything. And Itachi has the Yara Mirror, so the Rasenshuriken wouldn't do anything against the Susanoo. And yeah, the Yara Mirror would be effective here because it can simply block it. It's not something that's going to hit the Susanoo from every direction, which is usually where the Yara Mirror comes short. The problem is that Itachi cannot maintain the Susanoo for very long, so he would probably only use the Susanoo if he really needs to. Itachi also has other powerful Mangekyo Sharingan abilities. If Itachi makes eye contact at any moment with Naruto, he can put him under Tsukiyomi, something he was able to do against Sasuke very casually in their fight. And yeah, Sasuke broke out of Tsukiyomi, but he is an Uchiha with a Sharingan, and Naruto doesn't have a Sharingan. He wouldn't be able to do anything with Tsukiyomi. Nobody would be able to break him out, because the entire premise of the jutsu is that Itachi can create this world of illusions that can twist time and space however he wants. He can make Naruto spend spend decades in there being tortured in a split second in the real world. And yes, you may argue that Naruto could survive Tsukiyomi because he has the guts and the will, and his spirit wouldn't be broken even after so much destruction and death and torture that he would withstand in there. But even if you say, yeah, he's not gonna die or collapse after Tsukiyomi, he's at least going to be a little stunned, and Itachi could capitalize on that. And then Itachi also has Amaterasu. Now, dodging or blocking Amaterasu is something very difficult that can only be achieved by a character with a great speed and reaction time. Sage Mode Naruto does have great speed and reaction time, but is it enough to dodge Amaterasu like the Raikage did against Sasuke in the 5 Kage Summit? No, he's not as fast as the Raikage. Sure, in the arc, there was a Naruto Shadow Clone with Sage Mode that was competing against the 3rd Raikage, but that was a much more powerful Naruto, and that had way more to do with Naruto's reaction time and predicting where the Raikage was going to attack than his sheer speed. In order to dodge Amaterasu, you need sheer speed, because Amaterasu doesn't have a traveling time. The flames essentially spawn where the user is looking at. And even if Naruto manages to outrun the beginning of Amaterasu, Itachi can chase him with his eyesight, just like he did against Hebi Sasuke in their fatidical fight. So the summons would have to interrupt Itachi's eyesight, try to distract him somehow, and the problem is, large things do very poorly against Amaterasu. We saw how casually Sasuke, with his first ever real Amaterasu, was able to defeat one-shot the 8 tails of Amaterasu, and it was crazy. Like, the flames consumed the 8 tails in a few seconds, and there's nothing really to be done. If you're that large, you're a very big target. The flames are going to affect you. Itachi can give a quick glance to Gamma Bunta, Gamma Ken, and Gamma Hero, and they're done. Amaterasu is gonna kill them. He does the exact same thing in the arc against Nagato's multi-headed hound and neutralizes the threat. Ma and Pa themselves wouldn't be able to react to Amaterasu. If Fukasaku wasn't able to react to Pain's Bansho Taining when he was lining up the frog song, he's not gonna react to Amaterasu. And the same thing applies to Shima. So you can see here that Itachi can pretty much outplay Naruto in every single regard. There's nothing much he can do against Amaterasu. Tsukiyomi is a GG. Also, Itachi has the Totsuka Blade with his Susanoo, which grants him a vulnerability and an extremely powerful sealing attack. The Totsuka Blade was very effective against Orochimaru's 8-headed serpents. Those serpents were pretty relative to Gamma Bunta, Gamma Hero, and Gamma Ken at least, and Itachi took care of those in seconds. That was using the Totsuka Blade, and if Naruto gets hit by the Totsuka Blade, it's over. Now, maybe Naruto can dodge it, because Sage Mode has really good reaction time and all that, but that's not the only thing Itachi can do. He's much smarter than Naruto or any of the toads involved in the battle, and he would be able to come up with very good strategies to counter Naruto's jutsus and attack Naruto accordingly and essentially destroy him. The only problem is, would he be able to withstand that many jutsus that he had to use? Amaterasu, hypothetical Tsukiyomi, the Susanoo, some genjutsus and fire style jutsus here and there. People kind of underestimate how much chakra Itachi has. Yes, he's not the guy with the biggest chakra pool in the verse, but if you take a look at the Itachi versus Sasuke fight, Itachi and Sasuke exchanged ocular genjutsus for a decent amount of time. They used a lot of abilities. Itachi used Tsukiyomi. Itachi spammed Amaterasu against Sasuke, first to destroy Sasuke's fireball, and then he chased after Sasuke with Amaterasu, and then he used the Susanoo to tank Kirin to fight against Orochimaru and destroy Orochimaru, and then to pursue Sasuke again. That was a very decent amount of jutsus. It's not as though Itachi's chakraless or anything like that. He can't hold his own, and you have to bear in mind, Itachi wasn't fighting seriously against Sasuke. He wasn't fighting to kill him, obviously. If he had killing intent against Sage Mode Naruto here, things would be very different. So yeah, Itachi takes this fight. So the final score is gonna be Naruto 7, Akatsuki 4. Subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed the video, and like it as well to help me with the YouTube algorithm. That really helps out. Watch this other video right here for more cool Naruto content, and thank you so much for watching.